Bodies by Tischa Global TV, where I will be coming to you weekly on Sundays at 7 o'clock here in Berlin, Germany. And I'll go over what the channel and everything is going to be all about. But first, for my new people that have never met me before and are curious to know what the channel is going to be, I'm going to go over all of that today. But first, I'm going to introduce myself to my new people. And for my regular, or I should say, followers that I've had on the YouTube from before, it's been a while since I've done a live on YouTube. I usually go live on Instagram, but I am going to try to do my lives here on the YouTube channel, and I hope that you will enjoy the content that I will be bringing to you live from my studio here, and just to bring you a little snippet of my life and what goes on here at the studio, but also more than that, to go over different transformation stories and stuff that's going on here within the studio and also in my personal life. But for my new people that have never met me before, let me introduce myself. My name is Tischa the Tigress Thomas. And originally, I am from New York City. I moved over here to Berlin, but let me rewind. Before even moving over here to Berlin, when I lived in New York City, or when I lived in the States, I should say, because my journey started way back in 2008 when I was overweight and a little over 300 pounds I was. And boy, I would say that it was definitely a challenge to be at that weight. I think personally, I always, when I tell my story, how I related to being a prisoner of my own body. And so my journey started back in 2008 when I was overweight. And I know many people can identify with that. I know a lot of people struggle with weight loss and gain and weight loss and gain. And I was no different than that. You may look at me now and say, wow, look at her physique, but I wasn't always like this. And so my journey started out in 2008. And I think one day I just woke up and I was just tired. I was tired about how I felt and to be in my late 30s and feeling like I was an unhealthy 70 or 80-year-old that never worked out before. And, I never had any heart problems or diabetes or anything like that. But what I did have problems with that weight gain, with being at that level of obesity, was a lot of other different problems. Like I had issues with my knees and herniated disc in my back, problems with my asthma. I think the thing that did it for me is developing sleep apnea. And I think that was really scary for me because anytime that you are sleeping, anytime that you're sleeping and then you wake up in the middle of the night and you find that you're not breathing, it could be a quite alarming type of thing. And so, and raising three children as a single parent was also key, I think, in me being a wake-up call for me. To wake up and be gasping for breath and then realize that, wow, I am not like this because, I was in an accident and I can't do for myself. I'm not like this because I have some type of disease and it's causing me to gain weight. No, I'm like this voluntarily. You know what I mean? I'm like this because I don't have discipline enough to put the fork down. I often say when I do live speeches that I liken it to committing suicide with a fork because it's like that. It's a slow death that many of us. It's a challenge for many of us to be able. It's easy to say, oh, just stop, just eat right, or just stop eating, but it's a challenge for many of us, many because of discipline. Sometimes it's because of finances, or maybe even the neighborhood that you might live in. Some people I know, when I lived in Chicago, there were a lot of different areas that they considered food deserts, where the only stores that were in the area, were like, the bodega store, where most of the food, if not all of the food that you can get there, is pretty much unhealthy. And so to go to a supermarket that's out of the neighborhood, sometimes it was too far of a distance, for many people. In my case, it wasn't so much being in a food desert, but just discipline on my part. I ran a daycare back in the day, in my previous life. It seems like a lifetime ago, but I used to run a daycare. And, when you feed the kids, you eat. When the kids get a snack, you have a snack. And before you know it, you are walking past the mirror and you're like, oh shit, who's that? You don't even recognize yourself, because the gain happens in such small increments, until, you feel like, oh man, my clothes don't fit the way that they used to fit. I can't move around the way that I used to, get around. My joints and stuff are hurting. These things don't happen all at once, because if they did, a lot of people probably will be more careful about, how they conduct themselves as far as eating and taking care of themselves better. And I think also, for me, I can only speak for myself. I think a lack of discipline, but also self-esteem, low self-esteem. I had just came out of my second marriage that didn't go well. We won't go into details on that, but it just didn't go well. Second marriage, and at that point in my life, I felt like a failure, and putting on the weight didn't make it feel better. It was a vicious a cycle. And I think that many can identify with that you feel so bad about yourself and what you have allowed to happen to yourself, because I wasn't always big. In high school, I played sports. I did gymnastics. I did volleyball. I was a majorette, in the band. So very, very, very 150 pounds and skinny like a string bean. And, you wake up one morning and you're like, damn, I can't even get out of the bed. Literally, I can't even get out of the bed. Like, there was times when I used to have to just like flip over and kind of like slide down the side of the bed and then flip back over to try to push myself up. This was my life. And it just hit me one day that, like, wow, I have 3 underage kids that I'm raising. I'm in my late 30s, young, and I'm feeling like an old woman. And it's like, wow, what happens if something happens to me? Who's going to take care of my kids? And even if my kids, even grow to be adults, which they are now, but, I've made up in my mind that I didn't want to put that burden on my kids, to be like, wow, I didn't take care of myself. So now my children, in the prime of their life, have to stop what they're doing to be able to take care of me. Didn't want that. So, I just made up my mind. And it's not that I had not tried to lose weight before. After I had my kids is when I put most of my weight on. And again, it didn't help snacking all the time with the little ones. But, I just made up my mind one day, and I said, you know what? I know that I tried to lose weight before. I know that I started and stopped and started and stopped. And so this time, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to join a gym, because, many of us join gyms, and then we wind up paying for the membership every month, and we don't even go to the damn thing, and you're just giving away money. And so I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to treat myself with a whole bunch of new wardrobe gym clothes that wind up, hanging over a chair and never being worn. I just said, you know what? I'm going to make a promise to myself. And the promise to myself when I first started was that I'm just going to walk around my neighborhood. You know what I mean? And that's how I started. I started off with baby steps. I didn't take any big, I didn't hire a trainer. I didn't get any expensive equipment. I didn't buy any new clothes or anything like that. I just said, I'm going to make a commitment to myself. I don't care if it's cold. I don't care if it's hot outside. I don't care if it's raining. I'm going to go outside no matter what, and I'm going to do it every day. And so that's what I did. I just started to take baby steps, and I made a commitment to myself to just do that. No big plans, just baby steps I started off doing. And in that process of just walking around the block, making my rounds until that became easy. I started to challenge myself in that process, and the challenge was, okay, instead of just walking around the block, let me put a backpack on and put some, back in the day when phone books were still, when phone books were still out, the phone books used to look like this, put a few phone books in the backpack and put it on for weight and challenge myself. If I was able to do so many laps in an hour, then the next time I would go out, I would try to improve that and do even more laps in the same amount of time. I would challenge myself. And if I wasn't trying to outdo myself with the laps and amount of time, then I would try to outdo myself by making the backpack heavier. And I started to see results. And from that point, I said, okay, I've made a commitment to myself and I've kept it. You feel what I'm saying? I managed to make a promise, and I went out every day, and I've challenged myself. And then what I started to do, I said, I'm going to put a treadmill on layaway. And so I got a nice treadmill, paid it off a little bit at a time, until it was paid off. And then I brought that bad boy in the house. And it became something that took my exercise journey to the next level. And so instead of going outside, I started to do my stuff on the treadmill. And first it was just a walk because the 300 pounds, you're still feeling the weight of like an elephant sitting on you, like you can't breathe. I had the itch situation with my asthma. And I remember the first time I made a true, I would say, accomplishment in my journey on the treadmill is when I was able to jog for I want to say maybe 2 or 3 minutes on the treadmill. Now that might not seem like much to somebody who does jogging every day or runs every day, but for me, running more than 15 seconds, and I felt like my heart was going to come out of my throat. And so to be able to make that accomplishment and as far as baby steps was concerned, I was just like, wow, I did it, and I was still big, but I was making progress. And if I can relay any type of encouragement to anybody who's on that same type of fitness journey, is just take it one day at a time. Don't try to look at the big picture, because the big picture can be very, very overwhelming. When I looked at the big picture, I was like, oh my God, 300 pounds. I want to go back to my high school weight. I had 2 goals when I was on my journey. And my first goal was that I wanted to get back under, I wanted to lose 100 and, what was it? No, I wanted to get back under 200 pounds, really. And then my second goal was to get back to my high school weight, which means that I had to lose a total of 150 pounds because I was already 300 pounds at the time. And so, yeah, looking at the big picture, that's like, oh my God, how do you lose a whole person? How do you do that? And so I just, like I said, one day at a time, one step at a time, I started to do all kind of challenges for myself on the treadmill, walking real fast, jogging sometimes, putting it on the highest incline for a certain amount of minutes. And then I would get on the scale and be like, oh, wow, I dropped, a little bit. And I never used to say, when I would get on the scale, when I was in that process, I would never get on the scale and say, I only lost this much weight. I never did that. But what I used to do is like when I would get on a scale, even if it was just a half a pound, I would say I'm that much closer to my goal. Even if it was just a little bit, I would say I'm that much closer to my goal. And so, again, in my journey, once I felt like I outgrew the treadmill, I outgrew walking around the block several times. I took that to the treadmill, and I felt like okay, I outgrew myself with the treadmill. Always making challenges for myself. So it wasn't just like I'm looking at the four walls and just, oh boy, this is so boring. I always had to make it exciting for myself and challenging for myself. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. I'm just giving everyone my background. And so thank you for joining. Who we got here? Uh, I didn't bring my glasses. Tough Lagoon? What is this? I can't see. Uh, Tugaloon. Tugaloon, I think. I can't see because I didn't bring my glasses. I always forget to bring my glasses when I go online. So back to my story. I started off in taking rounds around the block. I, went up another level in my journey by getting the treadmill. And then at that time, it had been about maybe 6 months. I had developed a nice routine. And I think that's what's important. I think that a lot of us, when we feel soreness or our bodies, I realized that in that journey of mine, that our bodies act just like a little toddler. When you tell a little kid, it's time to go to bed, or when you tell a little kid, you got to eat your vegetables, what does the little kid do? No, I don't want to. And the body does the same thing. Okay, body, we're gonna get up and we're gonna work out the day. And the body's like, oh no. But it's not always like that. They say it takes 21 days to make or break a habit, and that is true. Maybe a little, give or take a week or two. But once you get into the habit of things and you start to create a routine, a workout routine that your body becomes used to, when you stop, your body starts to be like tapping you on the shoulder like, hey, are we working out today? And so that's what happened to me. Like I built up a routine and I got a nice rhythm going on. And I felt like, okay, I think that I have enough discipline. I've created enough discipline within myself to break the bad habits of starting and stopping and starting and stopping, because once you get a little bit of progress, you don't want to stop. And so you get on the scale and you go, oh, I lost a little bit of weight. I want to keep the momentum going. And so I didn't want to drop the momentum. I felt I was feeling good. And the asthma, wasn't bothering me as much. And I noticed that my herniated disc in the back, wasn't bothering me. I was able to get out of the bed without having to like slide off the side and flip over and push myself up. This is what my routine was. My back was so bad, I couldn't even lift a gallon of milk. Remember I told you I ran a daycare, so it's a whole lot of picking up little kids here and there. And I wasn't even able to do that. And so I felt like, okay, I think I've created enough discipline with myself with the treadmill. Let me take it up another notch. Again, baby steps. I didn't do all of this at once, but I took baby steps. And so I joined the gym, and I had to go through a few trainers at first because I've always carried my weight very well. So even though I was 300 pounds, I didn't always like quite look like 300 pounds. I mean, I looked heavy, but I didn't look like 300 pounds because I'm 5'8", and I carried my weight kind of balanced all over. And so and I always look kind of hefty or husky when I would go into the gym without the muscles. I look like that. And so, when I would get a trainer, the trainers would be like, treating me like I was a linebacker football. This is my first time in the gym. I don't know how to work the weights, but they would have me under all of these weights trying to kill me. And, trying to hire a few trainers. It was just a freak accident one day, not an accident, but I would say occurrence where I showed up for my training for the trainer that I hired, and he wasn't there. And so the gym felt obligated to give me like a substitute trainer for the evening. And I would say that was a turning point for me when I had that trainer for the 1 hour that he had trained me. And in that 1 hour, he had taught me so much about the connection between food and diet and exercise, and how much you have to burn in order, how much you have to do in exercising or cardio in order to be able to burn 1 pound. And I was like, you can calculate that? And he was like, yeah, you can calculate that. And I was like, it was like I call it a Helen Keller moment where, the understanding of it really made sense to me. And from that point, I had two different trainers, but the first trainer helped me to lose the weight. And so working with him for a good, almost a year, I think, maybe 9 months to a year, I worked with my first trainer in Chicago. And he helped me to lose the weight. And in that process of losing the weight, he was like, my contest trainer. My contest trainer, he was like, you don't want to put that weight back on. You should get into something so you don't put that weight back on. Have you ever thought about doing bodybuilding? And I was like, I think like most women, don't want to really put on a lot of muscle. And he flipped open the Muscle Magazine book. And mind you, I've never even followed muscle magazines or followed the bodybuilding world or anything like that. But he was like, yeah, you should be a bodybuilder. Look at these bodybuilding girls. And I was like, nah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to put on that much muscle, but I'm looking at the bikini girls in the book. I'll do bikini. And he was like, you don't have the body for bikini. So long story short, it took me 18 months to really, really lose the 100 pounds. And then it took me 18 months altogether to get down to my high school weight, which is 150 pounds. And I did that the day of the competition. And so it took me 9 months to get ready for the show. It took me 18 months to lose the weight. It took me 9 months to get ready for the show. And I did my first show back in 2009 and I won. Not only did I win, but I won best abs too. And the reason why that means so much to me is that because when I was overweight, when I used to sit down, I was like, damn, my stomach is almost halfway to my knees. So to have won the show and won for best abs, it was just like, what a feeling. I can't even describe that feeling of success. And the feeling that you have started something and finished it. You went through it, no matter how hard it was, you did it. And it was such a feeling. And so what we got here? What was the inspiration for your change? I would have to say the inspiration for my change, you came in a little bit late, but I was saying how my kids, I didn't want my children to have to take care of me in the prime of their life, which they're in the prime of their life right now. My eldest is 36, and my middle child is 33, and my youngest child is 32, and all of my kids have kids. I am a grandmother of 10. And if my granddaughter corrected me and she says, Grandma, you have to stop saying that you have 10 grandchildren. You have 13. So I have 3 step grandchildren. So 13 grandchildren and all. And the inspiration was that I didn't want my kids to have to take care of me. And I think the inspiration too was that it frightened me to see myself in my late 30s and my body literally falling apart in front of me as I stood in front of the mirror. Like, that's scary to be in your 30s and you're like, damn, if I'm feeling like this now and I can't even pick up a gallon of milk, what is it going to be like when I'm in my 50s, which I'm 55 now? What is it going to be like? I was thinking this back then. What is it going to be like when I'm in my 50s? Am I going to be on a walker? Am I going to, my daughters used to have to help me to sit down on the toilet. It was so bad because my back used to be so messed up. So that was my inspiration. My body falling apart in my late 30s and me not wanting to be a burden to my children because I didn't have the discipline enough to put the fork down, to change my ways, to change my habits, my eating habits. And so that show, the show that I won the first time, it was just like, wow, I am hooked. And so from that point, the my other trainer, Ken is his name, and he worked with me to help me to become third in the world in women's bodybuilding. And so I did the bodybuilding six years as an amateur on the MPC, and then I did a pro as 4 years as a pro. And before I retired, I was third in the world for women's bodybuilding. And that journey in and of itself was very challenging. It's not, it's not a sport that is easily one that can be easily done. It's a very extreme sport, and I would say also a very lonely sport. You're not working with teammates that can push you and urge you on. But you spend a lot of alone time in the gym, and a lot of times where you have to really motivate and encourage and discipline yourself to do what you need to do in order to be able to be how you want to be on that stage. But I did it, and it was gratifying. Many people get into bodybuilding for different reasons, and I think my reason probably is not isolated one. But for me, it wasn't about, when I turn pro, I'm going to make all of this money. I knew when I became a bodybuilder, and definitely when I became pro, that there wasn't going to be a lot of money involved in doing bodybuilding. But for me, it was a personal journey. Could I go from being a 300-pound female person that's overweight, morbidly obese, to being one of the top female bodybuilders in the world? And I did that. And not only did I do that, during one of my contests, I caught the interest of a film director that had traveled to the States, and he was doing a casting call for one of my shows. And he was doing a casting call because he wanted to do a fictional movie about a female bodybuilder. And I said, Dawn, I've always wanted to know how to act. I always wanted to do that. That's always been an interest for me. So I went in with 100 other women, including people like Iris Cowell. I think she tried out too. And I got the part. And so I think, the way that he says it when we were on film tour, when we do the Q&A, he would say, I didn't know how to make my fictional movie realistic. So what he did was he made several trips to New York just to follow me around with the camera and his camera guy and the big mic with the furry stuff on it, the boom mic. And they would just follow me around the city of New York. They would follow me in the gym. They would follow me at home. I'm a domina as well. Sometimes they would they recorded a few of the sessions that I did in New York, of course, with the client's consent. And just follow me just to get raw footage to see how does a female bodybuilder live. And so from this raw footage that he got, they're on the plane back to Germany, and they're looking through the raw footage, and they're like, wow, you know what? Forget the film, forget the fictional film that we want to do. She has so much charisma. We could do a film documentary about her. And so that's what brings me fast forward here to Berlin, Germany. And I moved over here back in 2019 on Christmas Day because they did the film documentary, and I Am the Tigress. If you look it up, I think you can find it on the YouTube and also on Amazon as well, and a few other streaming platforms. I always forget to say the award-winning film documentary. So the film won 2 awards, one for Best Documentary, and the camera guy won for his cinema photography. And I toured all over Germany when it was in the theaters, and the UK, and also Ireland. I went on tour. Where else did we go? We also went to the States as well, in Jersey. It debuted over there at the film festival. And so the film, when it was out, had a nice run for a documentary film. and got good ratings even on the IMBD. I think it's got like a 6.7 or something like that as far as a rating. And so not too bad for my first time on film like that. And so while there are women that did get first place in IFBB or Wings of Strength, they can't say that they have a film documentary about them, or at least all of them can't say. I think there's a couple that did do a few documentaries, but I don't know how they did. I just know how mine did. So that brings me to Berlin here. I decided to make the move to Berlin back in 2019. As I said, I came here on Christmas Day. And when I arrived, again, I decided to make the move because to fly back and forth from the States to here, to the States to here, I thought it was going to be a little bit too much, as far as too complicated. And I thought it would be easier for me to just be here to go on tour for the film. But other reasons also why I wanted to move is that the treatment that I felt when I was over here, when I visited in 2018, I would walk down the streets of Berlin and nobody gave a damn. Nobody was screaming in the streets like they did in the States, as a muscular female. Nobody would be screaming in the streets, "What the F are you, you freak? Go suck your D," and all of this other stuff. And so I was like, I would walk down the streets of Berlin. I still get looks, but people are not indignant about it. You know what I mean? They look and then they turn away. You know what I mean? They might look again when I pass them, when I can't see them, but it's nothing in comparison to the vitriol that I used to receive and when I was in the States. And the problems that I used to receive when I was in the States. People would be taking pictures and videos and stuff like that. And it just was really, really made me feel very uncomfortable when I used to go outside and I used to have to take care of business or just going out and enjoying the fresh air and to have to be bombarded with a lot of, I call it step and shit look. People go, how your face would look if you stepped in dog poo? That's how people's face would look. And I would approach people and be like, why is your face like that? Why do you look like that just because you're looking at a muscular female? Even if you have never seen a muscular female in person before, why does your face look like that? And so I don't receive that here in Berlin, and it encouraged me to want to just move over here just to get a reprieve from that, because you never want to live anywhere where you don't feel accepted, or you never want to live somewhere where you feel like you are on the outside looking in, or that you're alienating yourself because the choices that you have chosen to make. I always tell people that my muscularity was not a mistake. I didn't wake up one morning and be like, "Oh, wow, look at those arms." I didn't wake up like that. I had to work hard for this. And I busted my behind for the body that I have. And I'm glad that I did. And I've had to learn to get thick skin because I didn't always have thick skin. And the stuff that people used to say to me in the street used to have me bawling when I would get home. I would be so upset. And so I had to get a thick skin to the point where I was like, that's a you problem, not a me problem. And but it took me some time to get that way. And so now, fast forward again, here I am. I'm talking to you in my studio / flat. I live upstairs, and my flat is downstairs. My flat is upstairs, and I live down. My flat where I live is upstairs, and my studio that I'm in right now, Bodies by Tischa, is here, and I have a very small boutique style studio that I am coming to you from now. And my studio is very quaint, and you can check the Google reviews. People really enjoy being here, and not only do they enjoy being here, I enjoy having them here. I enjoy inviting people of all different backgrounds. And it doesn't matter what you identify as under the gender spectrum. My thing is, if you're a human being, that you deserve respect, and you will always receive respect from me as long as you give me respect, right? And so I like to make people feel comfortable, but more than that, I like to take the lessons that I learned in losing weight. And as an athlete, I like to teach people how to connect with their body to get results. the techniques that I used as an athlete to build my body. And so the stories that I have from the members that are here, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to build to do my channel, is to one, give you a little backdrop of myself, and how I live my life here as a trainer, as a performer, and the different activities that we have going through the studio. I have several different classes, but the main classes that I do here at the studio is my signature Build a Body class. And it's a level 1 class, but in that class, we go over the whole body, not all in one day, but we do certain body parts each day on a rotating schedule. And what I like to tell my clients when they come through here is that don't think that I'm trying to make you look like a bodybuilder when you come here. When you come here to Bodies by Tischa, you are the artist. And as the artist, you are creating your masterpiece. So don't think that, oh man, she's gonna try to make me look big like her, some of the females that come through. And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to make you look like a bodybuilder, but what I am trying to do is make you help you to be the strongest version of yourself that you can be. And whatever that image is in your head of how you wanna look, because we all like have an image in our head of how we wanna look, versus how we are right now. And so when you get out of the shower and you're drying yourself off and you say, if I had the perfect body, my shoulders would look like this, and my chest would look like this, and my waist would look like this, and my ass would look like this, and my legs would look like this. And so you have an image in your head, just like an artist has an image in their head when they begin to chisel away at that marble stone. And at first, when you're looking at the marble stone and people are walking around, they're like, what's that? A stone that the artist has, but the artist doesn't see the stone. The artist already sees the masterpiece that they're getting ready to create. And so I try to get my members to understand the same thing, that, you are the artist, and every time you do a rep, you need to be paying attention to what you're doing. And so I break it down in granular form for my members here. It's not just about picking up a weight and putting it down and thinking about stuff outside of the studio while you're supposed to be focusing on what you're doing here. I get them to understand that every single rep deserves your undivided attention. Every single rep deserves your undivided attention. And so when you think of it that way, you're more accountable for what you're doing. And so, Bodies by Tischa is what I am creating here. I'm now even trying to go out in the community now and partner up with other businesses, and hopefully to be more integrated within my community and being more offering my services on that level, and also being able to partner with other businesses to be able to uplift one another. I think that even if you don't see it happening, my thing is, if you don't see it happening, then you be the first person to do it. Be the change that you want to see. And so I'm trying to be the change that I want to see. I would like to see other businesses partner up together. There's a lot of small businesses in the area, and I want to be able to partner with them, and we lift each other up. We collaborate with each other, and be a part of the community that is helpful to the community. And I want to be that part of the community, not just here in Berlin, but as you notice, the title of the channel, Global. I am working with my former trainer, Ken, and we are building a global network where we're not only here in Berlin can people take advantage of my services, but also online. And so that's what brings me here to you today, is the channel that I am starting. I don't want to say trying to start, because we're here, we're live, we're doing it now. And so, I want to I'm going to be coming to you live right now, just once a week. And so Sundays is the day, 7 o'clock is the time, my time. So you're going to have to do the calculation for wherever you are in the world. But what I hope to be bringing to you are different topics. Excuse me while I have to look here and tell you all the different things that I plan on covering with you. And so, what I want, some of the things that I want to cover in this channel as I come to you week to week. We'll have transformation stories, and also things where we talk about topics like failure, depression, discipline, self-belief, self-esteem, these type of topics the things that I went through in my personal life. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a life coach, but I've had some life living. And I think that we have all lived a life that we can share things with one another, that we can learn from one another. So I've never come to you as a guru, and I'm not coming to you as a know-it-all, but I'm coming to you as someone who has been through a journey in my life, and I'm still going through that journey in my life. It's a never-ending journey when you're dealing with health and fitness and keeping your body as your body changes. I'm going through menopause right now. This is another topic that I would love to talk about, and how to navigate through that as I'm navigating through it, and to be able to have people have discussions about that. Do you feel your metabolism slowing down at a certain age, whether you're a man or a woman? These are topics that we can talk about that I'm sure affects everybody. Let's see here. All other topics that I would like to cover are, why do people quit? This was something that I was dealing with when I first started doing my, before I started losing the weight. It was something that I would try who was the guy? Billy Blanks. I would always try to do the Tybo. And then, I would try the lemonade diet and the onion diet, and try diet pills and Weight Watchers, and everything was just start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. But this, how do you overcome that? How do you overcome it where you get on, you start your journey, and you go through it and you accomplish what you set out to do? Let's see here. Other topics that I want to check, that I will be covering on the channel, behind the scenes of my life. And I hope that you will be interested to follow me on my journey as I'm here in Berlin. I've done a lot of interesting things here in Berlin, from modeling to acting to performing on stage, opening up the studio here, just a lot of different things that I have done. And I would love to take you on the journey behind the scenes when I get ready for a show, or I'm getting ready for a photo shoot or something like that. I just had a photo shoot Monday. And so I would love to take you along on that journey, to show that there is, especially for my fellow competitors that are still competing and wondering to themselves, is there life after bodybuilding? And I'm here to tell you that there is life after bodybuilding. And life could be very, very nice after bodybuilding. I think that bodybuilding was fun to a point, and but there's a lot of things in the bodybuilding world that I disagree with, and I'm not going to get into that. But I think that I can reach a lot more people, and getting them to accept their body, to love their body, to build their body in the strength that they want. I could be far more effective off the stage of a bodybuilding stage than I could while I was competing. I'll say that. Let's see here. Take you behind the scenes of the studio here. So there are times that I will cover live classes here, or interview some of my members that come through here, and maybe have a few chats or interviews with them. I'll also be bringing some people in to interview different people in the health and fitness industry, and not necessarily the health and only the health and fitness industry, but also people that can talk about different subjects, like I said, the menopause, maybe even I have a few doctors and stuff that are members here. I would love to interview them and to get their take, their side, their point of view on how to overcome a lot of the challenges that come with getting older, overcome, talking to other people in the fitness world, other athletes that are in the fitness world, that get their point of view of how they deal with discipline, how they deal with motivation, how they keep themselves encouraged, and how they go to day to day. I have a lot of people that come through here that they don't miss a day. They come 2 or 3 times a week and don't miss a day, and been here for 2 or 3 years now. And Bodies by Tischa in October will be going on 4 years. So I'm hoping to expand it beyond the walls of Berlin. Like I said, we're going to be interviewing different clients, other trainers, other performers, other entrepreneurs, people who have transformed their lives, not just me, because I know that you don't want to just hear from me, okay, but hear other stories and let you know that it is possible, that you're never too old, you're never too overweight, you're never too far gone, because these are the things that I used to think about myself. 150 pounds, there's no way that I can lose that. Man, I'm 40, at the time. I'm 55 now, but back then I was like, oh man, it's too late. I let my body go too much. There's no way that I can do that. And I'm letting you know, as a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 13, that it can be done. Okay, it can be done. And so, and also give a few live workouts. These are some of the things that I'll be doing on the channel, just trying to give you a broad overview of what to expect when you tune on. And like I said, right now it's just going to be on Sundays, but I do expect to expand that. But right now I just want to build my member base up. And if you think that you are interested to join and follow in the journey, not just of my life, but also of the studio here and what we do online, because we're going to be doing workshops online and seminars online as far as the global portion of my business. So I would love for you to be a part of that. And if you think that you want to be a part of that, subscribe. Okay, click that button below and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the updates and postings that I put on the channel here. So today is day 1, episode 1. And like I said, Sundays right now at 7 o'clock my time, you do the calculation as to, what time it would be in your area. And so let me see what questions we have here. I'll open up the floor for anyone who has any questions. I told you my background story and how I managed to go from New York City. People always ask, well, what brought you to Berlin? My film. That's what brought me here. And I'm glad that I moved. I do miss my family. And but I have to say, everything that's going on in the States right now is quite concerning, but we're not going to get into any political stuff. But I do enjoy being here. No place is perfect, I will say that. And especially in the summertime here in Berlin, it's typically a cooler climate here in the summertime. And so now with global warming and the climate change, that is changing here, where now we're pushing temperatures in the 90s and also the hundreds we had a couple of weeks ago. And because it's typically a cooler climate here in the summertime, they're not used to it being 90 and 100 degrees. So most places, including public transportation, including stores and malls that you may go into, most of the apartments do not have air conditioning. So when it hits like 90, 100 degrees, it's like it could get real hot. But I'm a fire sign, so I like the heat. It doesn't bother me. Of course, I have to have my fan on, but with the fan, I'm cool. I really don't like too much air conditioning anyway. But I open up the floor to Tagaloo 2001. Do you have any questions? Please drop your question down, and if you haven't clicked that like button, click the like button and the subscribe button so that you can get all of the announcements when I'm coming on live. All right, I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, drop it down and I will answer those questions for you. A little bit of Q&A if you are curious and have any questions that you would like to know about me. Oh my, well, thank you very much. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I was very nervous to get back online. It's not like I haven't done this before. If those that previously followed me on the Instagram, I used to do a show called In the Cage with the Tigress. And I would do that on Saturdays, I think it was. And I did it for quite some time, almost a year I did, before I stopped doing it. And so this is my re-entry back online. So it really, really touches my heart that you enjoyed. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will enjoy all the other shows and what I have planned for this channel. So I'm looking forward to vibing with everybody here, and starting discussions that we could talk about, and showing you, giving you a little peek in, in my life and what I do behind the scenes here. What are my goals now, and do you choose to bodybuild again? What are my goals now? Well, my goals right now, one is to globalize my business. Right now, I'm kind of centralized or localized to Berlin here. So I want to expand that. There's a lot of people that I can reach online, and so that's the goal, is to make BBT, Bodies by Tischa, global, and through doing my YouTube channel, by offering online classes, by offering workshops and things of that nature online. This is what I plan on going into. And also to, I'm an artist. And so I've been putting out my press kit. It's almost like a artist resume that you send out. And so my plans are right now is to get back on stage and to perform. I do a bit of a burlesque type of performance, but my twist is that, I add some weights. Some of my performances, I have 3 different performances. One is called Muscles in Motion, where, I do a burlesque type of performance. Burlesque, you have to take a bit of the clothes off, but then I give them those muscles. And then I have another performance called Heels and Steel. And the Heels and Steel performance is just that. It's me doing all various type of things in heels, my 4-inch heels. So I might do some deadlifts. I might do some squats. I might call people in off the stage and put them over my shoulder and do squats with them. A lot of strength type of things with my heels on, proving to people that, you can be beautiful and strong. And then my last performance that I do is a little bit risque, and they have clubs like that here. My club that I used to work at when I first moved here, when I first moved here, I didn't have the studio. When I first moved here, I traveled as a domina, and I worked at the Kit Kat Club, the famous Kit Kat Club, as a performer. And one of my popular shows performances that I used to do there is called Pop Culture, POP. Power of Pussy Culture, and it's more of a dominatrix type of show. Of course, all of my performances start off in a burlesque type of way, where I come on the stage totally covered so nobody can see the muscles at first, and then I take off to whatever I have underneath, and then that's more of an audience interactive type of thing. And I have people come in, and sometimes I might give them over the shoulder spanking, over the knee spanking. Of course, everything is consensual and everything isn't fun. And so those are my plans right now, is to expand my business, to go beyond Berlin, and also to get, to really, really get back into my performing. When I was really, really getting good into it, then COVID happened. And it kind of like put a stop to a lot of my stuff. But COVID's been gone for a while now, and now I'm ready to do my thing again as far as getting back on stage. So I've been sending out my press kit, and I had a photo shoot Monday, and I have some responses from the press kit they would like to meet. So I'm hoping that will open up the doors for me to get back on stage, as well as doing this. But I have a lot of other plans as far as public speaking. Some other stuff that's been on the back burner for a minute. Now I have the film, but one of the things that I really have been wanting to finish and accomplish and finish is doing a book to go along with the film. So that's a project that's on the back burner at the moment. But you asked what are my plans? These are the things that I have planned in the upcoming year or two that I will be working on for myself and for my legacy, Let's see here. Any other questions? Oh, you said, do I want to do bodybuilding again? No. And I say that a quick no. And it's not that I did not enjoy. I enjoyed doing the bodybuilding. I didn't enjoy competing. Fully, I should say. And that's because I felt that it was very, as a female bodybuilder, I just felt that it was very unfair how the female bodybuilders were treated, how we were paid, the endorsements and sponsorships that or I should say the lack thereof, the endorsements that we were able to get. It left a bad taste in my mouth. And so I enjoy still lifting weights, as you can see. I'm not contest ready, but I still got much of my muscles still. So I would say for a 55-year-old grandmother of 13, I still look good. I'm still strong. I'm still able to look. You see that baby in my arm? Hold on. You see that baby? Look at the baby's head. See the baby's face and the baby's shoulder? Oh yeah, I got babies in my arm, yo. I got babies in my arm. What about you? So do I want to do bodybuilding again? Not necessarily. No, I don't want to do bodybuilding again as far as in the competition form. But what I do want to do is continue to lift weights. I still lift weights. And instead of doing a bodybuilding show, I'd rather take my body as an artist and present myself in my performances. I would rather do it that way. I get far more enjoyment out of performing and showing people, both women and men. There's just much more fulfillment for me to do it on stage as a performer than as a competitor. And so when I have a woman come up to me and be like, oh my God, I love how you look. You're so strong. I want to be like that. Or I have a guy come to me and be like, wow, I never thought a woman could be like strong like that. I'm impressed. That means a lot to me. So yeah, I don't necessarily want to be back on stage to compete, but I still want to be on stage, but just presenting my body and the way that I want to present my body, where I feel more fulfilled. And I just feel like I think the last couple of competitions, especially when my film came out, I just felt, in my opinion, I can only speak from my opinion, I just felt like I was blackballed, and my opinion, but it is what it is. I enjoyed doing it for the time that I did it. I have no regrets. I don't have any ill feelings towards anybody in the organization or anything like that. I think that at the time, it was just time. After 10 years, it was time for me to do something else. Some people choose to continue to do it. I just felt like there's other things that I can accomplish in my life, and I have other talents and skills that I wanted to tap into. So no hard feelings. I did what I had to do. I did what I wanted to do. I wanted to see if I can go from being a 300-pound female to one of the top female bodybuilders in the world. And I got a film to add to my legacy as far as my ranking as being third in the world in heavyweight bodybuilding. So I'm proud of that. And so that being said, any other questions? And if there are no other questions, I'm going to wrap things up. So again, remember, if you have not subscribed already, please subscribe and like this video so that we can start getting ourselves into that algorithm. This is all new to me, so I'm teaching myself as I go along, and I hope that you will be patient with me as I, learn the ropes of being a YouTube content creator. This is my first time doing a live video on YouTube. I usually did them on Instagram, but this is my first live. So for those that had stayed with me for the whole hour, thank you. I consider you my tiger streaks. Those that are my followers, my tiger streaks. So thank you, my streaks, for following me. You have meant the world to me. Those that have been with me from the very, 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 very beginning. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for everything that you have done to help me to be to this place right now. I don't think that I could be here without you guys. So thank you very much. And I will see you again next Sunday at 7 o'clock my time here in Berlin. You do the math to figure out what time that is in your neck of the woods. But until then, stay strong, stay authentic, and remember, be the best person that you can be. Yes. I love you guys. Mwah, 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 mwah. See ya. Let's see. How do you